it's Miss Alana from the Boys and Girls Club of Universal, and today we're going to paint a desert landscape. And the materials we'll need for today's project are a piece of paper, preferably watercolor paper or a thick mixed media type of paper, a clean cup of water, a roll of painter's tape, 2 paintbrushes, one medium and one small, and a set of watercolors. You will also need some type of black acrylic paint to do the final touches for this project as well. And our first step is going to be to tape down our piece of paper. So I have my paper here, I have my roll of blue painter's tape, and I'm going to do each side of our paper one at a time. And I'm going to start at the bottom, and I want to lay my tape down so that I have a small border all the way across my paper. And do the same thing on top, and be careful so that it is the same length for the border. And then you want to press down and smooth out your paper so you make sure it's nice and flat on whatever surface you're working on. And now line up the right side. Try as best as you can to get that border even all the way across. If it's a little bit off, that's okay. And once this one is done, we'll press down on our paper again, make sure the seams for the tape are nice and tight, and we can start painting. So now that we have our paper set up, we're going to grab our clean cup of water, our watercolors, and our medium-sized paintbrush first. We will also be using the black acrylic paint later on. So the first step is to wet your paintbrush, get a lot of water on it, and put it onto our red color. And that's the first color we're going to do here at the bottom of our page. You want to do it about maybe like 1/5 of your paper with this nice bright red color. And time to switch to the next color, so wash off your paintbrush and grab the orange. And you're going to leave a little bit of space in between the red and the orange. And this is going to be about the same size as the section of the red as before, about 1/5 of your paper. And now we're going to blend the red and the orange together while they're still wet. You're just going to put some more orange on your paintbrush and then go back and forth between the two colors. The next color for our sunset order is going to be yellow. So grab the yellow, do a little space in between the orange and yellow, just as we did before, and fill up another 1/5 of your paper. And now it's time to grab some yellow again and blend in the orange and the yellow by going back and forth. And for the next part, we want to make sure we clean off our brush really well. We're just going to use water for this, no colors. So get the water on your brush and you're going to fade out that top line of the yellow. Remember, no color for this, just the yellow, because the next color we're going to put on, we don't want them to blend together. So we're going to have this bit of space in between the yellow and our next color, which is the blue. So the blue, you can start it on that area that we had in between the yellow and this new color, kind of that empty space. And we're going to blend that in just a little bit. So wash off your brush, make sure you just have water on for this part, and you're going to very lightly blend in that really light yellow area with the blue. And now wash off your brush again, and we'll grab our next color. And the next color is going to be dark blue. If you don't have a dark blue, you can use purple and it will still look nice. And you're going to fill in that final section. And once you have all of that done, you're going to go back and blend the light blue and the dark blue together. So wash off your paintbrush first, get a little bit of light blue back on there, and then go back and forth and blend them nice and smooth. If you want any sections of our paper to be darker, just add some more paint on it with a little bit less water, and you're going to get a brighter color. And now that we have all of the painting done, we're going to let our page completely dry before we go on to the next part. You can tell when your paper is completely dry, when it's no longer shiny from the water and it's not damp to your touch. Okay, so now we've let our paper completely dry. You can see it's no longer wet and it's no longer shiny. We can start on our next part of the project. So you want to clean off your brush, make sure there's no more watercolors left on it, and grab your black acrylic paint. And you'll want a decent amount of the paint on your paintbrush for this part. And we're going to start by doing a kind of squiggly line at the bottom of the paper. You can just go back and forth, make a little bit of a squiggle, make sure it's dark enough, and it'll look like the desert landscape that we're working on. And now you're going to make another line. You're going to start about that area where the orange and the reds were blending together. And it's just going to be a line, really simple. It goes about halfway across your paper. And now we can start on our first cactus. It's going to be on the right side. And you're just going to do a line from the bottom and going to that area in between the blue and the yellow. And then you'll go one arm on the left and one arm on the right. And you can make the arms be on the same length, or you can make one be bigger than the other or taller than the other. It's really up to you. I'm going to make my cactus a little bit thicker now. Just going to put some more black paint on my brush and very slowly drag it across. And as I'm dragging across my brush, I am pressing down on it so then it goes flat and creates that perfect round edge. And now I'm going to add another cactus onto our area in the background. And this one is going to be smaller than the one in front of us. Since it is in the background, it looks like it's further away, so then it is smaller. With this one, I am going to make the arms uneven, so one is shorter than the other. And now I'm going to add some little like desert bushes next to our cactuses, and it's just 5 really short lines near the bottom. You can add more if you want, or you can just dab the paint onto the paper to create these fuzzy little bush-like objects. Or you could do a combination of the two and draw the lines and then add some extra dabs of paint on top of it. Either way is fine. It's completely up to you, and it's however you want your desert landscape to look like. So now we're done with the black acrylic paint. I am going to grab a new paintbrush. It's going to be that smaller paintbrush that we were talking about earlier, and that one has a round tip as well. So I'm going to get it wet and dip it into the white watercolors. And if you had white acrylic paint, you could also use it for this part too, but since we already have our watercolors out, it's easy just to use the same materials. So you're going to make sure you have a lot of the paint on your brush, not too much water, just mostly paint, and you're going to draw some stars in the sky. So you can do little dots, or you can do these long crosses that look like stars sparkling. And as we get to lighter colors like the light blue and the yellow, you're going to see less and less of the white actually show up on it versus in the darker areas. That's just because it is a darker color and it's easier to put lighter colors like white on top of it. So you're going to fill in the stars on the blue part of the sky because that's where the sunset is turning into the night sky. And you can put however many you want on there. And with my last few stars, I am going to be done with this part. And now we're going to do the same thing as before. We're going to wait until our paper is completely dry, so the black part will no longer be shiny or wet, and then we can take the tape off of our painting. Alright, so now it has been a couple of minutes and you can see our paint is no longer shiny and we can start revealing our finished painting. And I'm going to take each side of the painting off very slowly. You can see a little bit of the watercolors bled through our tape, but that's fine. Either way, we have a nice white border on our edges, and if you really wanted that to be super clean looking, you could go back and take your white watercolors or a white acrylic paint and just make that a little bit sharper looking. And now that we have the last piece of tape taken off of our picture, we can check it out. And our watercolors dried very nicely. We have a really pretty gradient going on from our red sunset area to the stars in the sky. And you can see with the white watercolors, it dried really nice and light in the sky, just the faintest hint of the stars. So thank you all for joining me on painting this desert landscape, and I hope you enjoyed yourselves.